you know, if I trained you, you were gonna tell your friend, you just had a killer session with me.
Welcome to the Pursuit of Progress podcast, where every episode is dedicated towards helping you guys navigate the path to success in your first few years in the industry, trying to draw out the wisdom, the knowledge, the principles of success from amazing individuals like the man that I have here on the podcast today. And if you guys happen to not be watching this on YouTube, but you guys are listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google, just know we do have a video version where you can see the badass scenery and our special pooch that's here in the camera as well. But I'm really excited to have you, Rob, on the podcast today. And for those who are watching, this is one of our first 10 podcasts that we're doing. And I thought a lot about who I wanted to bring on and have be a part of this. Some people that are local to South Florida, others who are like biggest names in the industry. Yeah. So you're amongst some greats.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
But a lot of it just because of like the path that you've traveled, where you are right now. Yeah. Obviously, we're here sitting in this beautiful location here in Boca Raton, Florida. Yep. And there's been a lot of stuff that's happened to lead to this.
Big time.
So first off, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Excited to be here.
And this is one of the I think probably one of the first like real conversations you and I have had, aside from like, hey, passing.
Yeah, for sure.
So what I would love, selfishly, which is why selfishly I brought you on the podcast, is selfishly I'd love to know more about like, where did it all begin? Your origin story, especially with
man.
I know, right? You're gonna have to dig
going way
deep.
back, way back.
I know you've been training a while, but give us, because again, for the people who are on here, like some insight into like, how did it all start? Right now, we're in this again amazing facility. Yeah. You know, we got the pooch. You got this beautiful little daughter that I saw walking around earlier. Amazing community.
Thank you.
Amazing community.
Yeah, definitely.
Where did it start?
I mean, if I had to put my finger on it, probably when I was starting to play soccer competitively. My parents are, 5'6", 5'7", 130 pounds, 125 pounds, soaking wet,
Huge athletes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Both very athletic, just on the smaller side, Yeah. So I started playing soccer pretty competitively and started knocking around pretty easily, and that kind of changed my mindset into, okay, hey, I need to, get in the gym. I need to start building some strength. And that's where it really took off. My parents always say, that I've always been a leader, even though on every soccer team I was on, I was never the captain. I was never anything like that. But when it came to practices or fitness tests or stuff like that, I was always the one pushing everybody, So I just always kind of had that mindset to be able to turn it on when I needed to.
Yeah.
So that kind of got me getting into competitive soccer. So obviously my training picked up as my levels picked up. And then once soccer was over, I was continuing to train and continuing, I was at your local LA Fitness, working out, having people come up to me asking me why I was doing this or why I was doing that, or, hey, can I train with you, And I was like, man, I should start getting paid for some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, all these people want to work out with me. Like, how about I start charging them?
Yeah.
So then I started looking into personal training. And went kind of that route, starting out at LA Fitness, making very little money on a percentage that they were getting probably 90 and I was getting about 10, you know.
If you don't mind, like how much were you making per hour if you had to think about it?
Per hour, I think $12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about $12, but I was only doing 30-minute sessions, so it was like $6 a session, pretty much, when I think they were charging around 50. So, that was towards my end of my college career, and being, a business major and stuff, I was like, I could probably take the 10, 15 clients I built up right now somewhere else and charge them $40 a session instead of 50. So now they're getting a cheaper session and I'm making quadruple what I was making training them over here,
Yeah.
Ethically now, looking back, probably wasn't the coolest thing to do, But as a young college kid who needed to make more money, I did what I had to do, And then that brought me to South Florida right out of college. And I was bartending, had side gigs and stuff. Always kind of knew in the back of my mind I wanted to, not just be a fitness trainer, but own a gym. Yeah. That's kind of where the seed started being planted. And got into my first group fitness stuff was when Orange Theory was created. I was actually in the ground level over there, 17th Street, Fort Lauderdale.
Original
Original.
Right?
You know, working with Ellen one-on-one over
amazing.
there. Yeah. And then they started to franchise and open up more locations. So I was actually one of the trainers that would go out to other locations, train the teams that were getting brought on there, stay there for, 6-8 weeks, and then boom, move on to another location and kind of do that thing. One of the guys I was working with had kind of the same mindset that I had, wanted his own place, liked the aspect of Orange Theory, but not so much the programming side of it, and wanted to do his own thing. So he branched off, started doing his own gym. I went off with him, started helping him build that up as well. But then I moved up to Boca Raton from Fort Lauderdale. So now I'm driving down to Fort Lauderdale to teach these classes for him, and the commute was just getting to be, too much.
Yeah.
So then I was like, hey, why don't, I approached him numerous times on opening in Boca, letting him know, hey, I'll run it for you, I'll manage it, I know the ins and outs, I've been with you, grew this, and he just kept kind of putting me on the back burner, and you can hear no for so long before you're like, hey, why don't I just do this myself, and then that's kind of where Pit Fitness all started.
Love
right
that.
There, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And there's just so much. There's so much in that process.
Yeah. Oh.
I actually didn't know. I didn't know you got to work like really closely with Ellen and like on the teaching side of things.
Oh yeah, big time.
Connects a lot of dots for me.
Yeah,
That's
right.
great, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, Ellen's a savage.
Well, if you think, especially if you think back to, because I feel like there's so many things we can unpack in there. But for one, if you think back to especially starting out at, you said LA Fitness.
Yeah.
Obviously, you weren't making a lot of money.
Nope.
What did you gain there, though?
I gained the knowledge, I gained the discipline, obviously keeping and managing a schedule, time management because I was going to class, I had my clients, so it definitely helped me with the time management aspect of it because, being a personal trainer, you're your own boss. So nobody's making your schedule for you. Nobody's, booking those appointments for you. You're doing all of that yourself. So being your own boss, I really think it kind of forces you to learn how to handle it or how to not handle it, how to either wake up for those 6 a.m. sessions or miss your alarm clock and sleep in, so I think it definitely taught me a little bit more structure,
And I asked that too because I'm sure you've probably encountered this as well. It's not the aspirational place to start out for a lot of trainers.
Definitely not.
Right?
Definitely not. But it gives you a great foundation for sure, and I tell trainers, I'm like, go to a gym because the one thing they actually do for you there, they give you the clients. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go out and look for the clients. You know what I mean? They're handing you them. Hey, Joe, you've got Susie, Patty, Karen, Ted, and Tom all set up today. You're like, awesome.
Boom.
I just got to come in and train these people now,
Putting in reps.
Exactly. So that's definitely a lot of, less experienced individuals that will come to me and ask me about potential jobs or stuff. I always, if I don't have the space or the time, I tell them, hey, find a bigger gym that's going to push you the clientele, start working on your craft with them, and in 6 months, a year, come back and let's talk,
I like that. And, speaking of kind of the same time frame, I think about those who are watching the podcast or listening in, probably a lot of people who maybe they're already training, but they haven't hit, like, let's call it that sticking point of like having enough clients to really see like, okay, this is working long term.
For sure.
And I'm sure you were running into that phase of life as you were at LA Fitness and even the transition out.
Big time.
When you were trying to gain traction at that level, how are you getting clients? Give me some, either A, who knows, maybe
you got to think that was before social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You weren't posting booty pics.
No, you're not posting booty pics, the shirts on, abs are in, you know what I mean? So that was before then. It was a lot of word of mouth, you know? So really honing in on my craft so that I knew, if I trained you, you were going to tell your friend, you just had a killer session with me. You know what I mean? And then that might spark a conversation with your friend now, and then they might know somebody as well. So, really word of mouth was huge back then for me, which is why I felt like I had to be, on point at all times, because there wasn't just, I couldn't just show the highlight reels. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to do that now.
Yeah.
Everybody can just show the highlight reels, it's doing that 6, 7, 8 hours a day, every single day. You know what I mean? Not, I'm tired today, so let's have a good workout, Joe.
Yeah.
You know, no, I got to get up and bring it every single day, or else you're not going to tell your friend about me, and now I'm going to miss out on potential more clients.
Yeah.
You know.
And what was the time span? How many years were you training before Orange Theory and Ellen? Was it like a year, a couple years?
No, it was probably like I think probably like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So it wasn't like you trained for a few months at LA Fitness and then
no,
boom, just went
and then
into
I
the
think
next
that was part of the thing that I got into the group side as well, is because once I moved down to Fort Lauderdale, I didn't know anybody anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I was finding it very difficult to build up that clientele, just because I'm not the most outgoing person, you know. So in here, when I'm in a safe place like my own, I am, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I'm out in some place I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm not very outgoing. I'm actually a pretty shy individual, you know? So it was tough networking and meeting those people. But then it was like, oh, wow, the class aspect, now that's really cool. Now I'm touching 20, 30 people at a time right here. Yeah, the pay's about a fraction of, you know, what it would be if I was training all 20 of them individually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now it's also condensing my time too, you know? And then, hey, maybe some of these people will want to branch off and do some one-on-ones with me as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a nice, definitely, you know, worked well together.
Good
you know
dynamic.
what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
Would you say that was like a big part of you, like staying busy with training?
Oh, big
Was
time,
having
big time. That definitely skyrocketed me
Yeah.
to the next level. You
Yeah.
know, especially moving to a place where I didn't know anybody, being in the class setting with 24 people in a class. I'm now coaching over 100 people a day. You know, so I was getting to meet people real fast that way.
Yeah.
And they were getting to see what I could bring to the table then. You know, and now you have a killer class with me. You're like, man, I bet a one-on-one session would be really cool.
I wonder what it would be like
you
if
know?
it was just me.
Big time, big time. And then, so then I pulled a few people to start doing some one-on-ones, you know? And then it was like, wow, one-on-one session with you so much harder than a class, you know? So then that kind of started getting, again, word of mouth. People started talking about that, and I started slowly building back up my one-on-one clientele, you know?
Love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally have found, because I think I share it as well,
Yeah.
this element of, call it like an ambivert, right? You're introverted,
Big
but
time.
you can be extroverted.
For sure.
And I'm gonna guess just from what you're saying too, that like you actually draw your power from your time alone.
Oh, big time.
And that helps you serve people.
Big-
Love
big
that.
time,
I
big
mean, and
time.
I truly believe that. I think some of the best coaches are that way.
Oh, for sure.
So for the people who might be listening or watching who can relate to that, they're
Yeah.
like, oh man, he's like talking about me, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
idea of going out at a big box gym and just talking to a random person on a treadmill,
Yeah.
which not to say that's a good plan anyways.
Yeah.
But what would be maybe some insider advice to them, you know, like on like how do you use that superpower, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, instead of, and that's what so many gyms, and it drives me wild. That's their whole model, you know, those big brand gyms and stuff. It's like, all right, hey, you do need to find clients now. Go talk to the ones walking on a treadmill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can always kind of pick up on people's body language if they're going to be approachable or not. I think for the more introverted people, you know, you let your workout speak now. You know, like you do have social media that you can utilize, which has been a game changer for so many people. You know,
Yeah.
so put your product out there. You know what I mean? Show people what's separating you from the 1,000 other people that are out there training. You know, your style, your motivation. You know what I mean? You're not just kind of just going through the phases. You know, because you know, the big thing for me that people are getting so caught up on is the money. You know what I mean? And I think that's diminishing what a lot of people have to offer because they're so focused on that, and they're not focused on building that relationship with their clientele, you know? Because I mean, as you know, we're everything, man. A personal trainer is everything. You're a psychologist, you're a friend, you know, you can be an uncle, you can be a trainer, you're kind of all of that, and you need to be able to manage that yourself and wear all those hats to create that bond with your clients, you know. I mean, I've had the same clients for going on 10 years now, you know what I mean, that train 2-3 times a week
Yeah.
for the past 10 years because we've created that relationship, you know, and now as selfishly as it say, they've gotten to the point where they feel like they can't get as good of a workout if they're not with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's got its positives and its negatives. Obviously, for business side of me, it's a great positive, you know. For their goals and their aspirations might not be the best because they obviously can't have me 24/7.
Yeah.
But, you know, for business purposes, it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Love that. So I'm going to backtrack for a second on one of the things you were talking about in there too, which was, you know, the longevity or how long you've had actually that's one of the questions I had anyways, was I just wanted to know, you know, knowing you've been in the game for a while, and you've got some clients that have been training with you for quite some time, and it might kind of blend into what you were just talking about. How do you retain people? Because I think that's also one of the big challenges for these new young coaches and trainers. You may get a lot of people, but if you're not keeping anyone then past that 3-month period.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's a big question, but how do you retain clients?
It's forming those bonds. It's really caring, you know what I mean? It's connecting on a higher level instead of just like workout buddies, you know? Dig in, find out what's motivating them, what doesn't motivate them, you know, because everybody's different. You're pushing people different ways. If you think you're going to come in and train all 8 of your clients the exact same way, you're going to be sorely mistaken, you know. You've got to find out how each one kind of ticks, you know, and how to push each one differently, because each one of them is going to be very different, you know, not just in their goals and their aspirations, but in how they learn, how they take direction. Some of them are visual learners. Some of them are, you know, they've got to be doing it to learn it. So figuring out what makes your client tick is going to make that longevity with you, I mean, so much longer, you know, so much longer. I've got, and a lot of my clients are very, very close friends of mine now too.
Yeah.
You know, I've had clients for over, like I said, over 10 years that have been training with me, you know, and these aren't just once a week. These are 2-3 times a week, you know, at a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that bond that we've built. It's not just coming in for a workout. It's so much more now, you know. They look forward to telling me about their days, their successes outside of here, you know. And that stuff's exciting, you know. So now it's not just like, I'm going to work, you know, I'm going to train these people. It's like, no, I get to go see my friends and help them become better versions of themselves, you know. So
it's not work that way, right?
No, definitely
doesn't feel
not.
like work.
Definitely not.
And I hope you guys who are watching and listening, I hope you guys can, you know, like first off, take some notes, but feel the energy that's coming from Rob and what he does and the people he works with, because it's definitely magnetic. Just being here in the environment.
Yeah, you've got, and that's the thing too. You got to be passionate, you know. A lot of people, and it's funny, sometimes when I start talking, you know, people are like, why are you yelling right now? And I'm like, no, I'm not yelling, I'm just very passionate about this stuff, you know. And I tell a lot of my trainers that same thing, especially the new ones that have to come on. I watch them, you know, and I can see them trying to figure it out. Sometimes they're pretending to be something they're not. Sometimes they're trying to be me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's never gonna come off the right way.
Yeah.
So I tell them, I'm like, you're very passionate about this. Let that come out, because it's gonna come out so much more naturally and so much more genuine than somebody who's trying to be something they're not, or, you know, and live up and be the Greg Plitz or the Mike O'Hearns, you know what I mean? Like, or the Rocks, like, you're never gonna be that person. So that's always gonna come off as just disingenuine to people, you know? Let your passion speak for you, and that's gonna help you create that bond with the clientele so much easier. It's just gonna come off naturally then, you know?
Love that. Yeah, and from being in here taking classes, observing you, which I always like watching people. I like watching people work with their clients.
Big time.
And interact with their clients.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you do have a really close connection with the people you work with.
For sure.
What have you learned from your clients? You've been with these people for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, what have you learned, taken away from them?
You know, I've learned, I'm a very intense individual, and I've learned, you know, sometimes I've got to tone that down, you know, so that we can connect on higher levels. And you know, just the loyalty, the caring. You know, I was always one of those, you know, I'm an only child, kind of always looked out for myself, you know what I mean? Which is why I think I've always grinded so hard, everything. But when you really start caring about other people, start really caring about their results and stuff, it just elevates you to that next level, you know? And that's a huge part. And, you know, I've learned that through my clients. I've learned that through my employees. Some of them have touched me in ways they have no idea, you know, and have changed my character completely from being this, you know, hard-ass, intense individual, you know, I still obviously have that side, but, you know, I care a lot more, especially about the little things, you know, and I've learned that really goes so much further, you know, remembering birthdays. I mean, something so simple
but huge,
takes
right?
you, I mean, so much further, you know, when you don't make it about you and make it about them, not all the time, you know, but you're making it about them 90% of the time, it's going to take you so much further, you know, so much further.
And how has that played in? I mean, I feel like I'm curious because, you know, similar phases of life, young daughter, young family.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's grown up inside the gym, which is just amazing. Like I said, I love seeing her here earlier.
Yeah.
How has that bled into you as a dad, you as a family man? You know, talk to me about that.
You know, I mean, I've cut down a lot of my schedule so I can get out of here sooner. You know, I used to only work out in the afternoons, swore I'd never be a morning guy, swore I'd never work out in the mornings. My body just was never primed, you know?
Yep.
I tried it a couple times. My workouts were always horrendous. I mean, half the weight I could do in the afternoons, not really motivated, sluggish, you know? Having a daughter, man, changed a lot. You see those eyes, you see that smile, you hear that voice, it makes you want to get home a lot quicker, you know? And now, you know, I work out at 6:30, 7 a.m. every single morning, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me because now I'm home at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I get to spend, you know, the whole second half of the day with her, which is the most important thing to me, you know, being present. I never wanted to be one of those dads that was never present. I want to be very involved, very present, you know? So moving my clients around to be able to do that and them, you know, understanding that as well and being able to shift their schedules too was just huge.
That relationship, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have that, it'd
Big
be a lot
time.
harder to have them build in those things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
But
big time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
It make me tear up.
I know, right? Hey, we're not going to try to go too deep. We'll keep it surface level enough. How do you, here's kind of a bigger one, but I think it, to me, catches on to something you mentioned earlier. You talked about not necessarily clients, new trainers or people like really being about money. I'm interested, how do you measure, again, this is the pursuit of progress. How do you measure progress or success? Like, what does that look like to you?
To me, you know, it's just, again, it's getting down to people showing that they really care. You know, I'm gonna tell you right now, I bring on new trainers. I watch them from day one. I see if they're gonna be taking the trash out, you know? I see if they're gonna be wiping down dumbbells, wiping down equipment and stuff. Showing that they care not just about their clients, but they care about the place that they're training in as well. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're not doing those little things, they sure as hell aren't going to be doing the big things. You know? So I definitely look at those little things because that's going to tell me a lot about their character. And that's so important, you know, to keep them long term. Because that's one thing I hate, you know, the turnover with trainers. It becomes, it's like a revolving door sometimes, you know. And I ran through that myself in business when we first started. And, you know, that really made, you know, kind of going off, made me kind of shift our whole culture over here, you know. But I look at all the little things, man, all the little things. Because if you're doing those, again, it comes back to passion. It shows me what you're passionate about. You know, it shows me that you care. You care about your craft. You care about the place that you're in. You know what I mean? You care about this. You care about the equipment that somebody else purchased that you're, you know, kind of renting out from them. So that's going to tell me a lot about you as an individual, you know, and probably how successful your career is going to be too. Yeah,
I like that. So you don't seem to be and I say this is like me prepping for the podcast, thinking about you, you know, even talking to, I got to, you know, thankfully, I think I mentioned before, you know, for anyone who's listening, my wife was fortunate to get to work with you and for you for a period of time. And just trying to get an insight into Rob as an individual. And it makes sense now you talked about being somewhat of an ambivert because you don't strike me as a spotlight individual. Meaning if I look at the Pitt website, if I look at the Pitt Instagram, social media, even your social media, it's a lot of spotlighting other people, the culture, the community. Why is that?
I do not like the attention. I just don't, you know. Even, you know, be brutally honest, I wasn't going to do the podcast just for that. You know, I had to have discussions with some people that I trust, you know, ask their opinions about it, and they're like, no, you know, Rob, this will be good for you, you know, for the business, for the brand, for everything, you know. And I was like, I hate that stuff, you know what I mean? Because again, it gets back, it's not about me, you know what I mean? There's so much more in play here, you know. My birthday was actually last week. I had a full set of clients all day, and all the attention, it gives me anxiety, you know, just thinking about it.
I saw the videos here with the cake.
Yes.
And,
I'm just like, you know, it's.
Yeah.
I just, you know, because for me, it can always be better. You know, I really, you know, people are always like, God, wow, Rob, you have 2 like locations, like you're gonna have more. This is so amazing. Like, how do you feel? I'm like, good. You know, like. I see a lot of gyms, they do big ribbon cutting ceremonies and stuff like that. You'll never see that with me. You just won't, you know. I'm never, you might see them at the gym, I'll never be there, you know. Because it's just, you know, there's always more to be done, you know. And I don't know if that's just my mindset, the way my mind works. I'm always kind of thinking about the next one, what we can do next, what we can do to make ourselves better, you know. It's obvious, you know, we'll never be perfect, but I sure as hell want to get us as close to that as I can. You know, so that's why I think I don't really like the accolades, the attention or something, because the job's just never done, you know. And maybe once I'm like 70 and want to get out of the game or something, then I'll take some attention. But until then, like, it's not about me. It's about our community. It's about the clientele. It's about my employees. You know, it's about everything that we've all built, you know. And that's what, you know, I personally think this industry's lacking on the most, you know. And that's why I think you do see a lot of gym turnovers, a lot of trainer turnovers, because it can be very egotistical, self-centered, and just narcissistic to some point, you know. And that's when, you know, you see the people kind of start to trend down instead of keep going up, you know.
And that's why I ask, because I think that's probably what everyone who's getting into fitness sees.
Big
it's
time.
Very much, you know, you look, especially if you're on social media, let's be honest. It's all about like the trainer, when in fact it's not.
No, right? never. And if you have that mindset, again, like, you're limiting yourself so much, because if you don't think other people are looking at that, you're crazy, you know. If it's, you know, your shirt's off in every video you're posting and stuff, you're drawing attention to you know what I mean? And then you're taking attention away from the message. Delilah, come on. Delilah. you're taking away
attention away.
Right? You're taking away from the message you're trying to get across. The member you're trying to highlight, you know. And then again, it becomes about you know, and that's thinking very small-sided. You know what I mean?
And for someone who, I mean, I'm in my short conversation today with you, gather that, you know, you're not the first person to toot your own horn or celebrate what you're great at. What do you think your clients say about you, though? Because I have no doubt your clients tell other people about you. That's why your business has grown. So what do you think the people that you work with one-on-one, when they're describing you to someone else, what do you think they say?
You know, some of them probably say that I can be a dick.
I'm sure.
You know, but some of them will definitely say that I care. You know what I mean? If anything, they all know how much I care, you know, and how passionate I am about their success inside here, outside of here, everywhere, you know. I'm constantly texting with everyone. But, you know, intense would be one of the things they would all say, for sure. Definitely.
And does that ever like hold you back, or you feel like that?
No, that, you know, that it was more me learning how to control my intensity, you know, because it's a fine line. You know, you don't want to be that drill instructor.
Only yelling all the time.
At the end of the day, exactly. And I definitely came in to this industry doing that, you know, because I was like, oh man, gotta really crank it up now, you know what I mean? But then I was like, man, this is definitely a delicate dance, because a lot of people are gonna take that one way and a lot are gonna take that this way, you know? And how can we get it so they're all right here? And then, you know, I let everyone know, you know, intensity speaks volumes, but managing that intensity is also one thing, you know. I use a lot, I curse a lot, I'm not doing it right now because, of the viewers and we're on a podcast.
Hey, if it comes out, it comes out.
Yeah, but I use my language to really get across what I'm saying, because, unfortunately, if I came to you and I was like, all right, Joe, you can get one more, and then if I came to you and I was like, all right, Joe, come on, we got fucking one more. That's going to take you to that next level. You know what I mean? So using my language and the vocabulary to come across to really accentuate what I want to do makes it so I don't need to scream and yell. You're going to feel that from me just being there. And now it's gotten to the point where me just standing next to you, you're going to feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're going to be like, oh God, got to definitely go heavier, definitely got to do more reps.
Rob, he's serious right now. Yeah. It's funny because I see that sometimes even in the social media posts.
Yeah.
There's a class going on.
For sure.
And you're not even teaching the class.
No.
And they're like, Rob's jumping in.
Oh yeah,
and it's
big
like
time.
It goes up a notch.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I saw some clips from our last booty class that I did with a couple of our coaches. We got 65 people in there.
Yeah.
You better believe every single one of those 65 felt like I was with them the entire 90 minutes of that class, And I could have been on one side of the room and they could have been down there, but they felt like I was right next to them, And that's always fun to see too.
Yeah.
Because, when I'm in it, I'm in it. But seeing it get captured that way and stuff is awesome.
So how do you, for someone who maybe doesn't have the same, obviously, level of experience that you have, but wants to aspire to have the ability to change their energy and their language like you're talking about, you're with people all day.
Yeah. And
I'm sure you didn't, like you said, you weren't pre-programmed with that. You figured it out over time.
Big time.
How could they either try to improve upon that or do you have any tips? Again, not that you can hack the strategies, but
you've got to work with individuals that, you've followed, you've studied, whatever you've conversed with, that you want to be like. You know what I mean? Take tips away. I've worked with so many people in this industry, and I take little things from each one of them. You know what I mean? I encourage my trainers to do that all the time. Go take classes at other places. Pick up on the good things that they're doing. Pick up on the bad things that they're doing also, so that you know what not to do and what you can do better. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that, the mindset, it's just something you've got to look inside yourself because, again, if you're trying to fake it, you're never going to make it, So getting out there with those individuals and putting yourself through it on a daily basis will definitely help you change your mindset being with them, and then that will come off with your clientele,
When did you start training? Give me the year.
Like training clients?
Yeah, like how long now?
God, over 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure everyone on here heard that, right? 20 years and
20
the
years.
Energy doesn't go down.
And I'll tell you, I did not start really making money until about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 12. You know what I mean?
So 10 years of putting in time.
Took a while, yeah. Took a while.
Yeah.
A lot of trial and error, a lot of figuring what worked, what didn't work, A lot of working with other individuals that, were elevating their game. But yeah, I mean, it takes time. If it were that easy, everybody'd be a personal trainer and they'd have a full clientele, Unfortunately, it's not that way.
Yeah.
There are so many more resources out there now, though, that people can utilize, Axiom being one of them, you know what I mean? To really get that hands-on knowledge. Because, my biggest thing, too, is training is so personality-based, and that's something you really can't teach. Either you got it or you don't. And, so many of these certifications and stuff are just reading a textbook.
Yeah.
None of it's application,
Zero.
Zero. So I will tell you right now, any trainer that walks through that door with 26 certifications and this and that, but cannot talk to a wall, or the person that has no certifications, but has gym experience and a great personality, I'm taking that person 10 times out of 10 over that person that has 86 certifications, but can't connect with me on any type of level, because that just becomes awkward at the end of the day. And I've had trainers like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's just tough to watch, because you can just see the disconnect in the room.
Everybody's uncomfortable.
Oh my God, you're just like, oh God, come on. Like you're just not connecting with them,
Yeah.
which, you know, but again, going back, that's why getting the hands-on, the application side of it is so huge too. You know?
I think it's kind of easier almost, and we encounter this. You know, people, they finish one certification, and people enjoy learning.
For sure.
And there's like a perception of growth with that, and that's part of it. But you know, it's like all of a sudden you're 3 or 4 certifications in, and you're just delaying like actually training people.
Yeah, big time, because you're just focused on just that one aspect when there's 18 more aspects that are going to be involved. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just. You know, you got to eliminate that tunnel vision for sure. If your tunnel vision is, I'm going to get, you know, 5 different certifications and then I'm going to start applying for jobs. Like, don't ever do that. You know, get out there, get in the gym with people. You know what I mean? Put the real application to your craft. You know, not just sitting behind a textbook and doing that. Go to different gyms, learn from different people. You know, that you respect, that are, you know, have done their due diligence in the industry, you know?
So if I say online training,
how
do you feel about it?
You know,
very common topic, really in the last 5+ years, but also somewhat controversial based on who you talk to and trainers.
For sure.
So what do you think about online training? What do you think about new trainers getting into online training?
You know, if there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, for sure. And if you think like online training just going to be, oh, I just write out this program and sell it to these people, you know, you're never going to have, you might sell a couple for sure.
Yeah.
Never are you going to make money long-term doing that, you know. Again, even if you're online, you know, I don't do any online training.
Yeah, me neither.
If I were, it would be not weekly, it would be daily check-ins. You know what I mean? I'd need to see the people working out. Yeah, that's a tough road to go for sure. And you know, a lot of new trainers I think do think that, oh, I just got to sell these programs, you know, and then I can make some money.
I know what I'm doing. Let me just sell my workout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To keep that going, you're gonna have to do so much more, and I think it'd be so much busy work where it almost wouldn't be worth it. You know. But respect to those people that are making it and are keeping it going.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are obviously now with the technology and stuff, easy templates to be able to monitor results, progresses, stuff like that. But, you know, not having that personal connection, if they're not on Zoom or FaceTime or something like that, it's definitely difficult.
It would be hard for me to enjoy as much.
Big time. Yeah. From our side?
Yeah.
For sure. Because there's no connection.
There's none of this.
None.
You know, not the same way anyways.
Yeah, big time.
All right, so now looking at everything, which first off, you rock, man.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that we were able to get together and have this conversation. But as you look at the road you've traveled so far, especially with, you know, training clients and working with people, even though you obviously have a lot of other things happening now, what has been better than you thought it would be? And then on the flip side, also, like, what's been really tough along the way that maybe you didn't anticipate?
You know, just my enjoyment of life is way better. Coming in here every day, interacting, you know, being an introvert, interacting with people and stuff has been awesome, you know. Not just with, you know, my clientele, with my employees, with everyone. Forming those relationships, you know, has been awesome. But then again, on the flip side, you know, the stuff that's been harder, I think, you know, is kind of managing the personalities as well, you know. Obviously, I kind of stepped out of just the trainer role, and I'm more of, you know, just the management role, you know. And managing all the personalities is tough, man. It's
a lot harder than just managing yourself, right?
Big time. Yeah, now I've got over 20 employees, you know. In the more locations that we open, it's, you know, obviously I won't be managing them directly, but I'm still involved, which is why the product works, you know. But yeah, that's definitely one. Me and one of my literally right hand, Shamama, we always talk about it. We're like mom and dad to 20 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they try to play good cop, bad cop. It's this, it's that, you know. But then, you know, when you come to the training side of that, though, you know, the one-on-ones, we all know, clients go out of town, they go on vacation, they get an injury, you know what I mean? Not stressing out about, oh my, what am I gonna do? Joe's out for a month now, and he was training twice a week, you know? Hey, maybe you pick up another client that's gonna train twice a week. Maybe you don't, and now you have more time to focus on yourself and on your craft, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not stressing so much about, oh my God, I just lost somebody, you know what I mean? Instead, hey, focus on gaining that next one, you know what I mean? Focus on bettering yourself as a trainer in that time period before you find somebody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Focusing on the positives and not the negatives so much, especially as a new trainer, because you are gonna have that turnover, I think will help with their mindset so much more, you know? Instead of stressing the little things, celebrate the wins, you know what I mean? Celebrate those little victories, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
20 years, you got to have the mindset.
Big time, yeah.
So, you know, we're early on in the podcast here
Yeah.
as we're shooting this episode now, but one tradition that I'd like to have live on inside of each of the additional podcast guests is you don't know who the next podcast guest is going to be.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe there's things that you would like to get insight in from someone else who's got great experience in the industry on personal training or fitness or where the industry is going.
Definitely, yeah.
So what we're going to do is I want you to come up with, and I'm going to force you to right now, come up with a question that our next guest is going to answer.
Okay.
And it's actually how we're going to start kicking off the additional episodes.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
you know, not knowing who's going to be on, but, you know, different, all different areas inside the fitness industry.
Yeah.
But truthfully, like, what would you be interested in hearing someone speak to? Like, what question would you love to have answered about where things are going, principles of success?
For sure.
Anything relative to personal training and fitness?
First off, I'd want to know how much they squat. No.
Definitely. Well, that was a prerequisite just to get on the show.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So you got to be over at least 300 or you're not even talking.
No, I'd want to know, you know, what wakes them up every morning. You know what I mean? Because as you grow in this industry, those hours start a lot earlier than expected. You know what I mean? So getting up at 4 a.m. every day isn't for the weak-hearted, you know? So I'd like to know what wakes them up in the morning. You know what I mean? What makes them put their shoes on and go to work with a smile on their face, with, you know, life in their heart, ready to just take on the day. You know what I mean?
I like that.
That's what I want to know.
All right. Well, you're gonna get to hear him. You're gonna get to hear him answer it.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
So for all the people that are watching or listening, where can they connect with you? I know, guys, don't worry. He's not out there. You're probably not going to see too many shirtless photos of him. Maybe a few.
Nope. You might be able to dig back, because back in the day I dabbled in that a little bit. Okay, but I've definitely changed my mentality and the direction.
You're a dad now.
Exactly.
Baby. You know
exactly.
I mean?
The dad bod's hiding underneath here.
Love that.
But no,
where can they find you?
Instagram, you know, I'm public. I don't have anything to hide. Love connecting with people. Robert William 09, you can find me on Instagram. You can find our social media, Pit Fitness Boca Raton, Pit Fitness Boynton Beach.
Yep.
Our website, pitfitness.com, has all of our class schedules, you know. We're trying a couple new models like we have here in Boca.
Cool.
So I've got the class side over here where we run hour-long circuit training classes, broken up, you know, so it's partner-based, station-based, different exercises, really focus on getting a lot of your cardio through the resistance training, as opposed to just putting you on a treadmill for 30, 45 minutes, you know? But then I've got a whole nother side of the gym that's an open gym, you know? So you wanna come in, you wanna work out on your own, maybe hit some heavier lifts, focus on that stuff, boom, we got you catered over there too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I dig it. Guys, like I mentioned before, you guys can find this on YouTube. If you're listening on any of our audio platforms, you know, you're on Spotify, Google, Apple. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the podcast. You know, our goal is to only continue to bring on great guests like Rob.
Awesome.
And I know if you're listening at this point, you guys got a ton of value out of that. So make sure you guys connect with him as well. And I look forward to not only somewhere down the line having you back on, but I already have plans to have some of your team on as well. So that tells you guys something about what's going on over here at Pit Fitness. And I'm just happy to be connected with you here in the community.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. Thank you,
man.
Joe. I appreciate it.